right, so it's Wednesday. We are buckling up because guess what? We are in the car again today. And it's rainy out, or cloudy looking, but that doesn't mean we have to be cloudy on the inside, if you know what I mean. I'm off to pick up an order again, but pause for a minute, make sure my garage door goes down. A lot of times I like to check before I take off to make sure I do that. So I'll make a mistake and drive off and it's not all the way down. But anyway, as you guys can probably see through the sun top, it's a little cloudy here. It's about 73, which is actually pretty cool in my opinion for this time in Texas. Trying to get this camera right, but nevertheless, let's see here. Oh, I wish y'all could actually see the view that I see when I drive. That way, if I say something about something that I'm looking at, you would understand. But I'm gonna try to get that figured out soon, I guess. Try to figure out the best way to make that happen. But anyway, I hadn't got on my vlog to do a video devotional, but I am still reading in Genesis, and it's good stuff. I am going to try to pop back on and do one soon that will catch us up as it relates to where we stopped. But keep on reading if you're reading along with me. In the book of Genesis, around chapter 34, 35, 36. But I'm reading about Esau now. But who knows? Maybe I'll do one tomorrow or the next day. But nevertheless, one reason why I got on the video today is because I really felt it in my spirit that right now God is really saying to a lot of us, do you still trust me? In a season of our lives, you know. And I know many people may be asking, what does that mean? Why do you say that? The reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes as a believer, when it appears that everything in your life is going good, going well, to people that observe you, right? They're looking at your life, you know, trying to make heads or tail of what your situation is, right? And they'll say, oh yeah, God is blessing. God is being good to him or being good to her. But when things start to occur in your life where maybe it doesn't look like you're balling like what you used to, or maybe it looks like that prayer you ask God to move on your behalf, he hasn't answered just yet. You know, it's during those moments, I believe people are, you know, they're watching too. You know, you say those monitoring spirits. And I believe, you know, God is still the same God today as he was in the Bible days, you know, where God did things in his own timing. But I like to say that trying to cross here. Okay, it didn't turn red. Everybody act like they sped up once I got to the light. Turn left. And I didn't want to pull out in front of somebody. People speed up as soon as you start, you know, going. But anyway, I'm in the car driving. But I feel like God is saying right now, do you still trust me? And sometimes as believers, we have to remember the things that we've learned in church. We've learned by our examples in scriptures. And we've heard many preachers talk to us about, trusting God, believing in God when you can't trace him. Even when it looks like he's not doing anything. Even though it looks like he hasn't heard your prayer. You have to believe and know without a shadow of doubt that God heard you the first time. And God will answer you in his own timing, regardless of what naysayers are saying, regardless of what the enemy is trying to say to you in your mind. I believe every believer is going to have a valid experience in their life. You're going to encounter a season in your life where the enemy is going to try to attack your faith. And I really believe that's what this is about. When things start to happen and the enemy goes, now what? Right? He attacks your job. He attacks your health. He attacks your children. All these different things. But you have to know that God is still in control. And God got you regardless of what it looks like. So I'd say be encouraged. But anyway, that's what's on my mind right now, because I feel like so many people are hurting. Mostly everybody knows somebody that's being impacted by something. And, when it reaches close to home, a lot of times people not bothered until, it reach close to home. Somebody they know or it's them, right? Going through something. But you'll probably hear me say it all the time, keep your head up and keep pressing, because the truth of the matter is I believe that God really didn't promise us, what we would or would not go through. None of us know, what each moment of our journey is going to be like. It's just like we look at the weather. We can try to predict rain. We can try to predict sunshine. Seasons come and go, but every now and then, even with the seasons, there's anomalies. And God is still in control. And so no matter if you're in a blessing season or a season where God has just got you waiting, you still should ask the Holy Spirit to give you the strength where you can say, Lord, I trust you. Lord, I still trust you. We ought not get all excited and shout and do all this other kind of stuff just for material things. But what happens when the material things are gone? Can we still trust him when it looks like things may have taken a turn for the worst? Can we still trust him? Sometimes I hear the voice of the Lord saying, do you still love me? It makes me think about like a parent, right? Sometimes parents do things for us because we want them. Most of the time, good parents do the things that you need. But sometimes parents haven't said no or yes. They just trying to wait or trying to determine what they want to do. Or if they want to, do this or that for a child. And sometimes I know when I was young, it was like sometimes you get impatient and you want to rush. You want to go plead your case to your parent, mom and dad, ask over and over again. But I believe God has heard many of us the first time when we ask for that job, when we ask for that healing, and that God will answer. And we have to not allow the enemy to make us feel get depressed, get discouraged. But anyway, keep trusting God regardless of what the situation look like. just know that maybe God is getting ready to use your situation to show somebody that he's still God and he's still on the throne, where he comes and do something that everybody around you thought was impossible. You know, everybody else feeling like they didn't counted you out. But then all of a sudden, when God gets ready to move, ain't no devil in hell can stop God when he get ready to do something for you. You know. But anyway, I hope you guys be encouraged, be blessed. And I'm going to try to jump back on doing my vlog so I can summarize some of the parts of Genesis that was more about genealogy and stuff like that. And I think we're getting ready to go into the books of Joseph. I know it's not a book of Joseph, but when you look at Genesis, it goes through talking about the different children that were in that blessed in the blessed family of Abraham. And I think Joseph is coming up next. Maybe that I'll be reading about again. But anyway, I'm on my way up to Sam's to do this pickup order because we need to get some food in the house, some food in his house. But Lord have mercy, it's clouded out here. I wish y'all could see it. Sometimes I drive by stuff and it's like so pretty and it looks so peaceful. You know how Dallas is kind of weird because it's like one moment you'll drive through a neighborhood that's like poised and polished and the greenery is just like beautiful, and then you go through a little area and it look like the ghetto. It's weird like that, but I think it's kind of like that all over the world, because I think Little Rock had some places like that too. It didn't took me 12 minutes to drive up here. Let's see how many miles I done drove. I done 4 miles, 13 minutes it's saying. I need to get out and do some other store runs, but yesterday when we got all of that rain, I was like, I don't know if I want to get out in that. I'm hearing somebody saying, what does trusting God mean? You know, interesting. The best way I know how to explain it is just waiting and keeping your heart posture positive. Meaning like know that God is going to respond. And regardless of what he decides, you trust what he decides to do. It's never about can God, because we know he's able. It's more about him being in authority and having the final say so. And when we submit ourselves humbly to the will of God, even though it's something disappoints us or hurts us because we don't get our way, or maybe it didn't come out quite the way we wanted, it's okay to go through those feelings, but we don't stay there too long. You begin to pray to God, the Lord, and ask the Lord to help you accept his decision so your heart can heal and you can move on and stay in faith, trusting that he is God, and maybe he made a decision about some things because he saw some things that we didn't see. Because our view in life is limited, but God is sovereign. He sees the things we don't see. He hears the conversations we don't hear. And he also knows our future. And when we start thinking about purpose, right? Like, why was I born? Why am I here? You know, and as a human being, a lot of times we're trying to figure out our purpose. We're living and we're taking step by step, trusting the Holy Spirit as He guides us. But God knows our ending. He knows where we're supposed to land at. He knows all the key milestones in our life that we have to accomplish. And so when I say trust God, I mean exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it ain't gonna hurt. I am not saying that sometimes you ain't gonna cry, because you will. I'm not saying that sometimes you gonna be a little disappointed. I'm not one of those believers that try to make everybody believe like you ain't gonna never be disappointed, because sometimes you don't get what you want. But you have to trust that God, if God didn't give it to you, it's for a reason. And if things don't go your way, it's for a reason. It's just like you think about a parent with a bottle and a baby with a bottle coming into the world. The baby don't know much. It has to trust their parent. They don't even really understand that this is mom and daddy when you look at an infant. But they have to trust the aspect of getting milk as the mother guides his head to breastfeed. It has to trust that the mother, the father, whoever is going to change it, do all of the different things that it needs. It has, and I'm saying this, and that's probably why Jesus said about, it's easier for children to come. Because sometimes you have to, when you're leaning and depending on God, you have to be as a child. And just like my mom and dad say, no, you can't have candy right now, you need a meal. And I'm using it very, very basic analogy, trying to apply to whatever it is in your life. Because sometimes God truly does know, but we just don't understand everything. So it's kind of like the aspect of faith. You're trusting in Him, that He's sovereign. He has your best interest in mind. And that regardless of how things may look or seem, He's going to work everything out for your good, because you still love Him. You still trust Him. But anyway, I'm going to get off of here because I got to check in and let them know I'm in my spot so I can get this order. And Lord knows I didn't mean for it to be this long. But be blessed.